Hello, hello, hello. We are super, super excited tonight. Yo, this is episode what?
39.
39.
Can y'all believe it? 39. Y'all, we are coming up on almost a year. We're super, super excited. So, anyways, my name is Renette, aka the Next Level Chick.
I'm Latoya, your CEO partner.
I'm simply Tammy, your inspirational coach.
I am Coach Gail Benson, your certified master life coach.
Yes, and we also have a special guest. As you can see, we are super, super ignited and excited to have the Taurea Avant here. Let me talk about this. Okay, so on this episode of Spicy Season Sisters, we sit down with the powerhouse entrepreneur, author, and success coach, Taurea Avant, to explore the truth that your story doesn't expire with age. It gets richer, it gets deeper, and it gets more powerful. Women over 40 carry a lifetime of wisdom, experiences, and lessons. Taurea is going to show us how to transform those stories into books, businesses, and legacies. And together tonight, we'll uncover why now is the perfect time to share your story, how to push past that fear and that doubt so you're not stale, stuck, and stagnant, and you learn how to turn your passion into purpose and profit. If you've ever thought it's too late for me, this is the conversation because we have the real Taurea Avant on here tonight. So Taurea, can you just give us like who you are? We're super excited.
Oh my goodness. Well, spicy season sisters. What's going on, y'all?
Hey.
Hey,
Hey
Taurea.
y'all. I'm so grateful to be here. Love you guys. The youngins today, they say something, they got aura. And when I met you guys in New York, I was just like, oh, I love them. They have aura. And I'm just grateful that now I have the opportunity to be on the show. Little about me. Okay. So
Yes.
I think most people who are speakers just like talking about themselves. So I like talking about my story. So I have a shorter version. I got a longer, but I'll do the shorter version on today. Originally from Virginia, parents were in the Air Force, went to the illustrious Hampton University, which today actually got shut down because people out here being crazy. Another conversation, but went to college. But all through my years from college until about, I want to say maybe like about 22-ish, 22, 23, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so in fact, I was just asked the other day, when did I know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur? So I never knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It just was always in me. I was the girl when I was young, wanted to put together the club of the girls only club, and we had to pay $5 dues, and in the club that would allow us to get snacks, and we'll have certain kind of topics of discussion. So it wasn't that I was necessarily entrepreneurial, but I always wanted to organize things. I always wanted to put stuff together. And in fact, I like to actually give a lot of credit to my father, because my father was one who also did the same thing. Now at 11 years of age, my mother passed away from cirrhosis of the liver. And so if anybody knows what that means, it means that she was a woman who suffered with alcoholism. Now, praise God that he blessed me with a second mother. Her name is Veronica, and she lives in North Carolina. And she was with me through all my teen years into my adulthood. But my mom, who passed away, which is, y'all, it's crazy because even at 44, I remember it like yesterday, when God called her home. But she dealt with cirrhosis of the liver, which ultimately took her. And so if you know, that means that it was a lot of drinking. So coming up in a household like that, it was difficult. And what I don't really share a lot is that my father also was an alcoholic and an addict, but he was able to get clean, and he was recovered. And in the process of him becoming clean, he also helped so many other people. Now, my dad was one of those types of people, though, where whenever he went into an environment, he would always find ways to make it better. So he made these manuals, and he had all kinds of courses and stuff he created. And so when I think about like the way that I am now, I'm literally just like my dad. And so he was such an inspiration for me. I looked up to him. so much. And so when my mom passed, I moved in with him. And then fast forward down the line, graduated with from Hampton, degree in computer science. I'm a big techie. I had tried all these businesses, but eventually, like what happens to a lot of people, I tried. I never did business. So I would try something and quit it. I would try selling knives and quit. I would try selling vacuum cleaners and quit. I even tried bail bonding. I tried all type of things, y'all. I was the professional tripreneur, okay? But I eventually stopped trying stuff, and I just was like, you know what? Let me just work this job. Got this bachelor's. I'm making $26,000 a year, barely surviving, donating plasma twice a year, and I get a call that my father, who is now my last living parent, is going to the hospital. Now, I had already witnessed him having open heart surgery, which y'all know that's a whole nother conversation amongst our community. We talked about this earlier, just taking care of our heart health. But he had open heart surgery, and my father was very skinny. It was because he had to get a heart valve replaced, and I believe it had a lot to do with him not telling what was going on in his life. We had no idea what my dad used to deal with. No idea. We were all been taught, keep this in the house, which I know we're going to talk more about. But I watched him go through that. And so even hearing that he was going to the hospital for whatever it was, I figured we would get through it. Well, 7 months later, my father passed away from stage 4 lung cancer. And it was definitely one of the most difficult things to watch someone who's like your hero go from this strong, extremely smart man to barely being able to log into his computer. And it was very difficult for me. It's actually been, I believe, something I have, as I talk more about it, it has caused me to also have bigger challenges even within my relationships, friendships, because I've lost 2 people who are supposed to be here still. 2 people who I didn't get a chance to learn a whole lot from in my adult years.
Right.
And so it's been a challenge, but you know, watching him go through that, that's when I decided I got to stop trying to do things and do them. And so my dad had insurance, which was something I used to be ashamed to tell people because I came into some good money, and I moved to Atlanta, and I started my journey of entrepreneurship, but wasn't really doing anything. It wasn't until that money started to get a little light that I was like, okay, you got to get focused. And then I got into the world of home-based business industry, then became a coach in 2015 after I had written a book, and now 11,000 speakers, coaches who have now become authors later. I've been able to build a platform where I've been able to help so many people not only become authors, but speak on stages, even international stages, TEDx stages. I've been able to help people to get on media platforms and all types of things. And I'm just grateful that God kept me. I'm grateful that I've gotten to a place where I'm okay with telling my story. And I know one of the things we talked about, and then I'll stop, was what's a pivotal moment? Well, definitely losing my father was a very big paradigm shift. But in the process of me doing this entrepreneurship thing, I was just telling someone the other day, and he was like, yeah, it's like being in quicksand. Do hell, go it, yeah. Because entrepreneurship is literally like being in quicksand, because you can't tell, but when you get in that quick, it's hard to move sometimes. And in the process of me being an entrepreneur, I was in network marketing, and I had gotten to one of the top levels of the company. And on the outside, it looked great. Like I had good income. So it seemed. I had thought I was with who was going to be my husband, who I gave a good number of my years. I thought he was going to be the father of my children. Kind of find out about 6 other women thought so too. I lost so many people because I was so focused on selling this product that if you wasn't selling it, don't call my phone. I lost a lot of family and friends like that don't talk to me anymore. And eventually I found myself in a state of depression where I was making decisions where if I wanted to even live.
Wow.
My father was gone. My mom is gone. I don't have kids. I don't have a man. And you know, this world will make you feel this big when you don't have the things that they say make you a complete woman.
Right.
And so, yeah, I remember having that thought and literally looking up the ways that it could be like guaranteed, and so that people didn't see me as crazy if it didn't work. Because, you know, if you do it, it got to work. And all the ways that were guaranteed, I was too afraid. And this was the time where fear was something that saved me. And so I have a video actually on YouTube. If you search Taurea Avant Depression, and it's got several views, over 100,000+ views. And the sad thing, y'all, is that it's a lot of kids commenting on the video. But ever at that moment, that's when I decided to stop living as if everything is perfect. Because when I put it out and I realized there were so many people watching me that were also dealing with it and comparing their lives and saying, oh, well, her life looks great. Why do I deserve to even ... Oh, no, baby. It's quicksand. It's quicksand out this mug every day that I wake up. And so I just choose to be myself, and I found happiness in doing that. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Nice.
That was powerful. That was so powerful. And if y'all saw or heard her, she has pushed out 11,000 authors. That is huge. So, Taurea, with that being said, you have helped those thousands become published authors and entrepreneurs. But as you tell your story and going through the depression, you were able to get back up. And so when you first started getting back up, tell us kind of how that went.
It was hard. I remember I had went to what church was I? It was one of the churches out here. And y'all, it was so tough. So, okay. So what it looked like is I would go to do these hotel meetings every day. At the time, I had a beautiful townhome in Buckhead, Atlanta, Georgia. And so I would go do the meetings and then come home and get straight to the bed. At the time, my drink of choice was red wine, Menage a Trois. That was like my favorite red wine. That's all I drank. Yes. And tissues and pizza. That's literally it. And it wasn't until, and I always, she's very non-confrontational. This is my sister. Her name is Monica. And we were staying together at the time. And I'll never forget, y'all, because when you go through depression, sometimes you don't even realize, like, you could be functionally depressive, right? Mm-hmm. So I was too scared to make a decision to no longer be here. And so I knew that what am I going to do? And so one day I'm in the bed and Monica opens the door and she's like, Taurea. And mind you, she's very non-confrontational. She don't want to talk about nothing other than the sun is shining and the rainbows and things like that. And she's like, Taurea, you really got to get out of the bed. And when she told that, it broke my heart. It broke my heart because for her to tell me that, I had to be spiraling. So at that moment, we were like, okay, what are we going to do? So I remember going to church one time, y'all. And I have some churches, they have it where you can go up there and pray. So I went up there to go pray. And when I tell you, a sister broke down, when I looked up, the lady was so scared. It's funny to me now. It wasn't funny then, but the look on her face was like, girl, you need some help. And I did. And so because at that moment I was ready to get out of this slump. I didn't want to be in that anymore. I didn't want to feel that. And by the way, y'all, depression is something that will continue to keep on trying to creep in, the devil. And so I realized they couldn't help me. So I went to a non-denominational church and I joined a small group. That helped me so much because I got a chance to be amongst people who wasn't going to give me some scripture of what I need to read or tell me that this too shall pass. No, I need to be able to talk about it, or being able to get in front of someone and talk about what's going on without them giving you advice back. It's just, I needed to release it. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to release that in church one day. And I was just boo-hoo and crying. And at the end, nobody had no advice for me. Nobody had no scriptures. Nobody even looked like they felt sorry. They just said, thank you for sharing. And I don't know what that was, but that was like a click where it was like, and then I got other people in the group telling stuff that's way, way worse. And so I was just like, okay, I'm not alone. And you're right, this too shall pass, and I'm good. Let's go. And it was then when I did that, and then I released that video. And I decided at that point to start living on my terms, do the things that made me happy. I'm not gonna be out here in these streets promising a life that is not true. I decided to be truly authentic. And guess what? Even in this process, y'all, of me being myself and being authentic, does everybody love me? No. I'm not for everyone. And because I understood that and stopped trying to be a people pleaser, because that's what I was doing when I was putting it out there that this is the best life. No, when I decided to be myself and be okay with knowing that I live with integrity, I live with morals, and I live as a woman of God, y'all, things started to shift for me. I was no longer feeling the pressure of having to be a wife. I no longer felt the pressure of why I ain't got no kids and why I don't have that, why I don't have this. I started to be comfortable with loving who Taurea was, and every scar that I've gone through and every challenge, and it's still a process, but it's the happiest I have ever been in my adult life.
Love it.
Ooh, you are freeing somebody today. Okay.
Yes.
Somebody just got free. And that was so powerful. Oh
Wow.
God, I just want to cry. I just want to scream. I want to do so
Well,
many.
could you tell I was about to cry? Because I don't know. I just feel it. I feel it. I'm feeling
I
it.
know we all felt that. So with that being said, I want to ask you, Spices. So there are many sisters on here listening and that will listen that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. And so they've gone through this thing. And we talked about this as we were talking about what had happened in the house, stayed in the house. And Taurea just put it out there. And that is so powerful. So as you all are going through stuff, at what point were y'all able to reinvent yourselves?
Wow. I think I'll start, Renette. You know, I had to go through depression, complex anxiety, and grief when my mother passed away. That was the turning point for me. That was a time that was dark, confusing. I could not find the words to articulate how I was feeling. And you know, you hear all of this advice about push through, you got it, you know, God got you, God is faithful, you know, it's gonna be a turnaround, you know, joy gonna come in the morning. But for me, morning was not coming. The darkness was overwhelming, it was encompassing me. I was sinking deeper and deeper into my bed. uh, and I did not, you know, because of our culture, and we're not taught to talk about what we're going through, acknowledge that we are struggling with something, although we can't put a word to that something, to be able to be in a space to say something is different about me, something is happening with me. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm not going to make it. When somebody tells you they feel like they're not going to make it, at that time, they're already in crisis. When I finally got here, I was in crisis. And the turning point for me was when I went through a 14-week group therapy program. You know, and as much as I didn't want to be there, it helped me. But even in the process and graduating, I still ended up having a heart attack because the stress of it all, not being able to properly apply tools that I was learning, and I was so far gone when I finished that, and God brought me through that season. And I thank God because I had just gave up. I admittedly will tell you, I welcomed it. All I wanted was to see my mother again. All I kept saying is, I just want to see my mom. I just want my mom. I just let my mama come and get me. But the problem was that wasn't the journey. God took me through that, gave me enough strength to be consistent, get the help that I need. Had not just no family members was around because nobody even knew what I was going through because I was afraid to tell them that I was going through divorce. My husband was leaving me. My marriage was falling apart. I felt like I was losing my mind. I couldn't function without my mother. All these things that I felt ashamed of was building my story to help other people. The things that I was hiding from was the thing that God used to present me to help other people. So that was a turning point for me. And I will encourage anyone is that the things that you hide from and the things that you're ashamed of, baby, there is power in the transparency of your story. And there is a community of people that are waiting for you to get their breakthrough.
Amen, amen. And you said it, and Taurea was saying it earlier of how we don't want to always tell a story. And we're going to talk about that in a minute because our stories are so powerful. But I want to tell me and Toya.
Oh boy. Boy. I gotta Toya go right now.
So for me, it was about 22, 23 years ago, when I was dealing with postpartum depression. And at the time, I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I felt different, but I felt like I was still expected to perform and do the things that I had always done, right? Like Gail said, we were taught to push through. And so I didn't know what it was. I just knew that something was different and I needed to talk to somebody really quickly.
Mhm.
So the turning point was understanding that it's okay to not be okay sometimes, but we have to identify that we need help and to seek the proper help to help push us through to the next level, understand kind of what's going on so that we know how to overcome or deal, cope, heal, from those situations. So at the time, it didn't have a name to me. Of course, postpartum depression has been out there, but it wasn't something, that I was used to. People that I was around talked about. So, once I understood that it was something that I needed to talk to someone about, that helped me to understand that I can get through this. I don't always have to push through. There's support, right? And there's healing behind that. So, postpartum depression for
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. And one of the things you said that was very, very important, I want y'all to get, she said the proper help. Because a lot of us go talking to everybody, we take it to the phone and we take it to the throne, which we should be talking to God, but sometimes you have to go and get other help. God made therapists for a reason,
Yep.
psychiatrists for a reason. So it's okay if that's what we got to do. So the proper help is definitely necessary. And that's where a lot of people mess up. They talking to the wrong people that cannot help them. And you end up back in the same space and place. Tammy?
Well, Burnett, it runs deep, after coming out of a 35-year marriage, um, and having to be on my own after, you're with your parents, you're with mom, you get married, and you're with your husband. I never had a sense of self, and through that time, um, I just could not figure out why. And I felt like I was this good person, but all this stuff would happen to me. And um, it's not until 2024, February of 2024, that I had my breakdown. And realizing that I didn't deal with my mom's death in 2008, having to deal with the fact that I had a gun put to my head for no reason, having to deal with all kinds of stuff that I just couldn't figure out why. Why was it happening to me? But in February of 2024, I had my breakdown. And I shared with this Gail yesterday, we were speaking. I was just here at home and I just broke down and I was screaming and crying. And that is uh, when I finished, I was laid out on the couch, just drenching in sweat, breathing hard. And it was after that moment that I realized I couldn't go down. I had to fight up. And that's why you all always hear me say fight up. So today, over a year later, almost 2 years later, I'm not only happy and at peace, I'm thriving and I'm doing the things I want to do. And I thank God that I went through that because now my story will help somebody else.
I
Absolutely.
love it. I love it. That's amazing. So if y'all have been listening, these have been some very, very powerful stories. So Taria, you always say that our story is our power. For women who are over 40, 50, 60, and even 70s and 80s, why is now the time to write that book or share their story?
Well, first, we were talking a little bit about this before we went live. Recently, losing a friend to something we were not planning for. And the reason why, for everyone, no matter your age, that it's time to write your story and tell it is because guess what? There is someone um, that is going through something that you've been able to push through that needs your story. Man, if my grandmother could have written a little bit just to talk to me about what it was like to be a woman in her years and being a woman who was a wife and being a mother and why. I remember my grandmother one time telling me, "You ain't gonna never get married." And I was like, "Well, why would you say that?" Because, at my 20s, I wasn't trying to, I was turning up. But I said, "Grandma, well, when you got married, were you pregnant?" And she was like, I was like, exactly. I was like, stuff is different today. We don't get married because we're pregnant. We get married because we're in love. But I'm saying that to say, like, I wish I could have gotten into understanding her mindset of who she was because I only knew her as grandma. There's so many people that are looking at us and they only know the surface of us. They only know what we post. They only know what they think they know or what somebody else told them who we
Exactly.
were. And,
Exactly.
and being that author, writing that book allows you to truly reveal who you are and what you've been through. I had no
Right.
idea. And this is the crazy thing. We're sitting here talking about what we've been through, right, ladies? And
Yes.
all of us have been through traumatic experiences in our own right, but we didn't know any of this until we talked about it.
Right.
And
Right.
now it allows us to have a better connection. We out here trying to be these perfect Bettys, living these pretend perfect lives. But then when somebody shares, it's like, oh my God, now I can talk about it. So imagine the person who's waiting on you to tell your story so that
Right.
they can fully live their life
Right.
like who they're supposed to be. So
Right.
that's why I think it's important that we need to tell those stories. Because
Beautiful.
tomorrow's not promised. And there's somebody right now who needs your story.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that, Taurea, because I say all the time, somebody's story saved me in certain situations. So it would be selfish of me to not share my story because somebody is waiting on that story so that they can feel like they have a lifeline.
Yeah.
Just takes one. Mhm.
Yes. That's
And
beautiful.
Latoya, the fact that you say that, I want to, y'all can chime in, but I know definitely that Taurea and Latoya. So how can publishing a book open doors, not just for income, but for impact, legacy, and healing? I know that Latoya, you can definitely tell that story.
Okay, so what was the question again? How can it impact what again? I'm sorry.
How can publishing a book open doors, not just for income, but for impact, legacy, and healing?
Many different ways. So from a healing perspective, we talk about journaling, right? Getting the things that's inside, getting it out. And then writing and journaling is healing within itself. So it could be a healing process, getting that story out there. You said legacy because that book is always going to be there, right? When we're no longer here, so the legacy will continue to
That's
live
true.
on.
That's
And I know
true.
Taurea teaches on this piece. So I'm going to pass the mic to her.
Second, Latoya, I
Yes.
just want you to talk about when the first Girl Get Up and Move came out and kind of how you use that to heal.
Gotcha. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, we have, when I say we, Renette, it has been the overseer of the series Girl Get Up and Move, which is an anthology. And we currently have 3 books out. One of the things that I wanted to do, one of my goals was to be a published author. So I was actually in the process of that, but life happened and I went through a traumatic event. And, we're talking about, trauma and depression and things of that nature. So that was the season that I was in at that time. Someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, there's an author call for, for a book. Here's the information if you're interested." And, I had been, that was one of the things on my list. I had been praying to the Lord to, open up the doors of opportunity for me to be an author. But at this time in my life, I didn't see that happening. And I said, Lord, I said, I can't write a whole book, but if you give me the strength I can do one chapter, right? So long story short, I attended the session that Renette had, and got the information, and the opportunity presented itself for me to move forward with that project. So that was book number one, and we've done 3 books to date, and book number 4 is in the works. And I have the pleasure of saying 2 things. The first thing I have a pleasure of saying is that I've had the opportunity to be in all 3 books. And the second thing is that when I was going through that, I actually was taking some of Taurea's training, and she has some training that she may tell y'all about later. Took the training, although the training was geared towards single book. I was part of an anthology. I was able to follow the steps in her training, and I was one of the authors that sold the most books during the book launch, I'll say.
Hey.
So her strategies work, y'all. They work.
Coming out the gate,
Yes.
she sold 100 books, and then continued to sell and sell and sell. We sold so many books, that was crazy. But anyways, the healing part, and just like she said, the legacy. So Taurea, I know you just a beast at this question. How can publishing a book open doors, not just for income, but impact, legacy, healing, and more?
Well, first of all, there's literally, as we are doing this pod right now, there's millions of people on Google that are Googling how to, and then ... The ... is your book. The ... is your product, service, program, retreat, dinner, luncheon, experience. And I like to say that if people will Google it, they will pay for it. Now, the biggest challenge that a lot of times, especially authors may have, guys, is that they don't look at necessarily their book as being a business. But when you understand the power behind being an author and how it makes you an authority figure, think about it. Authority. In order to be an authority, you have to be an author. The word is in authority. And so when you have that right book, it opens up doors for you. So when I decided to become an author, y'all, and this is why it actually, I took a mastermind program. I invested $10,000 into this program to write this book. And I went to it, and they told us to do the book and follow the instructions. It was a public domain. And because I spent 10 grand, I was going to do my homework. So I did it, but I still never wrapped my head around leveraging the book. And it wasn't until I ended up going to another book workshop where it was talking about how to use your book to get on the stages and stuff like that. And so when I wrote my first book at the time, ladies, I actually was in multi-level marketing. I was a top income earner in the industry. And if y'all know, multi-level marketing, people, if you're not in the industry, they call it all type of stuff, pyramid schemes, right? And so I was selling coffee, which I still drink the coffee to this day. So I had sat down with this guy that I met when I first moved to Atlanta, who was a lawyer. And when I told him that I was selling coffee, at first he thought it was like I had my own coffee. And I was like, oh, no, I'm a distributor. And then I explained to him how it went. Y'all, I might as well have told him I was selling drugs, because maybe he was done. He was like, oh, Lord, it's one of them things. I don't even want to talk to her no more. And so I realized he didn't respect me as a businesswoman. Even though in order to make 6 figures, like in network marketing, you got to have some business acumen, right? So that's when I realized, okay, how can I gain some respect in this space? How can I be able to position myself as a true businesswoman? That's when I wrote my book, y'all. And when I wrote the book was initially, I'm trying to say, oh, here it is. Now it used to be called A Vision of Freedom. So this is the book, but I changed it to a 6-figure vision when I got out of multi-level marketing. But it was A Vision of Freedom, how to live the life of your dreams. Because on that one, I have like my picture on the front. And I thought, your first book, you always got to have your picture on the front. Whether you want it or not, it don't matter. But I took it off. But I wrote that book and I started to pitch myself. And I had real estate organizations saying, hey, can you come in and teach goal setting? I had a bridal organization. Now, remember, y'all, a couple years before, I just broke up with who I thought was going to be my husband. So I don't know nothing about bridals, right? Being one, setting a marriage, none of that. But I know about vision boards. They hired me to come teach about vision boards. I had another, the BNI meetings. Before, when I would go to the BNIs, they would never let me come up and speak because they know I was going to get in there try to pitch some network marketing. But now all of a sudden, because I've written this book that talks about mentorship, goal setting, attacking your fears, I've now become an authority figure in the space of personal development. And so that's when I was like, oh my God. And the best thing that could have happened to me, y'all, because at the time I wrote it so that I could use it as a recruiting tool to bring people into my multi-level marketing. Well, when I wrote the book, we had a meeting with all the top leaders of the company that was in Houston. And he had the nerve, the leader, to try call me out and talk about, oh, we got leaders writing books. I was the only one who wrote a book. Now, your girl ain't no punk. So you're not about to call me and try to embarrass me and think I'm not going to say nothing. So I said, you talking about me? Oh, no. But if you did write a book, you can't be on the platform. So I literally was blackballed from my company because I wrote a book. And that's really what sparked me to say, he don't even understand what is happening for me now because I wrote this book. So I decided that I wanted to now educate those. It was initially in the multi-level marketing space on why being an author can help you grow your business. Because from that bridal organization, I had people saying, can you coach me? At the real estate event, can you coach me? And guess how I was going to tell them? I was like, well, if you want me to coach, you got to sign up into my network marketing. Well, he freed me from that because I was like, oh, okay, you trying to blackball me? I'm going to launch my own coaching business. And I did my first workshop 10 years ago. 61 people showed up, 5 people joined my program, and I was able to keep 100% of all the things I sold because at multi-level marketing, you give all your money back to them. I kept 100%, and I was like, ooh, wait a minute. And that's how I got into the coaching space. But as you see, guys, the right book will open doors. Let me give you another example. So y'all remember when we went the I try not to say certain words because I know we're streaming on the tube. So y'all know when we went through demic. Y'all know what I'm talking about? When we was all in the house for a whole year. I'll never forget, one of the biggest industries that suffered was the restaurant industry, right? Right? Because we couldn't go out to eat anymore. Everybody was ordering and stuff. So a lot of restaurants shut down. Well, there's actually a woman who wrote a book about restaurateurs and how to be able to keep your business afloat during tough times. I, no lie, y'all, went and looked this woman up. She had no big social media presence. She didn't have she wasn't a big influencer. It's because she wrote a book about how to keep your restaurant afloat during tough times. How we know if she really knows what she's talking about? Nobody knows, because she wrote a book about it, though. It made her an expert. And she was on, it was like one of the major media, like CBS, one of the national, though. It was like on a national show. Yeah. So now this woman has gotten on a national show because she has a book specific about a topic of what's going on in our nation today. And so writing the right book will always put you in position to get on platforms that you by yourself may not have been able to, because when you write it, they assume you're the expert. You went through something, write about what you overcame, find ways to integrate still your story, but now you become the expert. And I'm telling you, every single month, every single week, every single day, y'all know it's a national day of something. And the news is always looking for people to come on and share their expertise. And so you see, I get hyped though when I start talking about books.
I love it. I love it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that is so amazing. So if y'all thinking about some books, y'all getting it from the real, okay? We got some stuff in the audience, so if we can grab some of those comments, I want to make sure we read them. And we have some people on there saying they want your book.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Writing your book is positioning, which we know. She just showed us how you can position yourself. If you have been through something, you can write a book about it.
And all of us have. The smallest things too, y'all. By the way, like we're waiting for, because all of us have these stories that it's like, well, somebody might be watching and say, well, my story ain't that deep. Okay, but who did you overcome a breakup? It's people Googling that right now. Maybe you have a child that's neurodivergent. I think every other kid got ADHD. I know I got it. Hello. Why don't you write a book about that? It's literally a community of people with neurodivergent children and parent. How do I know? Because we have a member of BPC who she started niching down to that space. And oh my God, they're inviting her to come and speak on all these platforms. And so you might know, y'all remember, it was a reality show with these two ladies that were professional organizers, not cleaners. They come in and organize your house. They built $1 million business off of organization and then created a reality show. What if you wrote a book about, let me show you how to organize your house for
I need them.
Hello? So me too. That's not my gift. I don't like cleaning or organizing. That's why I got to have somebody do that for me. But yeah, I mean, we overcomplicate this process of writing a book, and we're thinking that let me wait until something major happens. When the truth is that every one of us, I had a young lady who wrote a book. Well, she never wrote it, but she put it out there doing the pre-sale training that she was going to write about how to overcome your first year of college. Put it out there. Two high schools asked her to come and speak that had over 500 students plus that they wanted her to speak in front of. So it's, the opportunities are limitless. You just got to pick one space of what God has put you through. You know the story in the Bible where it talks about the talents.
Mm-hmm.
And you have nobody ever thought about it though, where you have the one person who had the 1 talents. I always get the numbers messed up. Is it 1 talent, 2 talents, and 5 talents? And the 5 and the 2, they doubled them. Y'all know what I'm saying. It's 2 people that doubled them.
Right.
But nobody ever thinks about, well, how did they double it?
Right.
They doubled it because of their experiences that they went through. Like, y'all ever notice we never even dig deep into what was the mentality of the one person who had the 1 talent who did not go and do what the other 2 did? And
Right.
a lot of the reasons why reasons why somebody's able to grow something is because they use what they have experienced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so if y'all can take one of your experiences and get laser focused on it and make that your brand, make that what you do, and don't let nobody waver you off. I've been doing this for 10 years in the book space. You think I haven't had people come to me and tell me you need to do this? And how many network marketers have said this is the next best product, Taurea? And hey, why don't you teach on this? I had a friend who was like, you need to show people how to set up technology. That's not what I want to do. So yeah.
Yeah, stay in your space. Well, you kind of answered my next question, was when it is people that feel like my story isn't big enough, it's not flashy enough, it's not spicy enough, it's not even worth telling. And you just said what I was getting ready to ask. So you just answered that question. So if you're sitting back thinking, I'm not enough, it's not enough, baby, that's a whole lie. You have more than enough. It happened to you. And we know it happens to us, but it happens for us to share it out. And so that's what we don't do. We keep it to ourselves. And that's one thing we talked about, that we are so stuck in what had happened in the house that this age, 40, 50, especially 45 and up, it's like a lost generation because you haven't stepped out there to really let yourself go and know that, you know what, I got this inside of me. You're keeping it to yourself. And so you're keeping somebody from their destiny. It's time for you to step up and step out, y'all. And you're tonight to tell y'all that. So as saying that, I want to ask this to you all. We speak about mindset here. Taurea speaks about mindset when she's teaching books. What is one mindset shift that every woman 40 plus needs to step into her next level? I'm going to ask again. What is one mindset shift that every woman 40 plus, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 need to step into their next level?
Wow. Belief in self. Belief in yourself. Just have belief in yourself. Let go of that fear.
That's good.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go back to, kind of what you just said, Renee, because it kind of stuck out to me, is that I am enough and you are enough.
Right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all
Mhm.
killing the game tonight. Y'all killing the game. Y'all on fire. Y'all spicy, spicy.
And I will follow up behind my sisters, and just to say that, you know, we often think that we don't have a story because belief plays a part, and you think that what you have isn't enough. All that is woven together because you do have a story. We all have a story, and you have to be in the story that you're in. You have the authority and the power to rewrite your story and
Yes.
share and tell your story. The power lies within you. And the one thing that
Mhm.
I had to do, uh, before I wrote my memoir, was I had to realize that the decision was mine, and my
Right.
beginning was anywhere I got started. And once I crossed over that threshold,
Yes.
fear cannot fangle you down into staying stuck. We have to choose our voice
Yep.
versus lying into the comfort. Because see, fear gets comfortable because we don't have to do anything but just lay there and be scared and keep looking back with the heaviest weight we'll ever carry, which is regret. But
Right.
once you cross over that threshold and you see your life thriving, you see your story igniting and impacting people
Mm-hmm.
that you never thought that you would be
Mm-hmm.
talking to,
Mm-hmm.
then you realize all I had to do was to take that step.
Yeah.
It's worthwhile work to do, and your story will unlock the belief and the power for somebody else to get their breakthrough. The
Yeah.
beginning is anywhere you start. I promise you, you have a story.
You
Yeah.
know, let
Yes.
me add to this because the other day I'm gonna write my story. And it's gonna start when I was 7 years old, when I almost drowned and died. And it's gonna come all the way up to me almost 60 years old. But someone said to me, "You're gonna tell that story?" Yes, I am. And it's going to be the
Yes.
story. Don't
Mhm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
try to tell me not to do that, because I am going to do it. And
Mhm.
Amen.
so I say this to say, if somebody's trying to discourage you to save face or to whoever, do what you're called to do and
Yeah.
help the
Absolutely.
next person.
Absolutely. And I
Absolutely.
want to say
I
something.
Absolutely.
Go on, Taria, and I said,
oh well, it was so many different things that I wanted to try to think of when it came to being a woman over 40. Um, one is that it's never too late. Y'all seen that movie, the movie that Taraji was in with the black women who had to go over and clear up all that mail during the World War II?
Yes.
triple
Yes.
Yes.
six data,
There was
triple
a part in the right there was a part in the movie where they were like they were just getting off the boat, so they went through all this turmoil to get there, and when they
Right.
finally got off the boat, they were like, they probably can't even march. I don't know if y'all remember that. And
I
they got
remember.
off and they were marching, and there was a part where they all looked that way at the same
Yes.
time. Well, I
Yes.
started crying. I started
Yes.
crying because there's so many people who will always try to doubt you for their lack and in inabilities. See, all these months prior,
Exactly.
they couldn't find someone to do the work and do it the right way. I'm leading
Mhm.
up to a reason, because all of my spicy sisters that are watching, y'all know God gave us some gifts that
Yes.
only us as women. Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC, did not find KFC until he was 65 years young.
Yes.
So when we think that, oh my goodness, it's over for me. What? And he didn't have internet. He didn't have social media. He
Didn't.
just had some
right.
chicken. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't got and KFC has built a legacy.
Yes.
I haven't ate there in a long, long time because I prefer Popeyes myself. But there's just so much. What? Somebody say, them
We got
Popeyes.
a KFC fan on here. We got a KFC fan.
Oh no, ma'am. I'm sorry. They cannot beat Popeyes with them biscuits and that chicken breast, spicy chicken breast. What are we talking now? I'm
Y'all
about to go do
forgive me.
something. I'm not
Y'all
gonna do
got
nothing mad
the
though.
good job between KFC and Popeyes.
I go
Lord.
to both, so I
But
go to
yeah,
both.
I want to say it's never too late. But I also want to just jump on to what y'all are saying too, in alignment that like everything we have been through, there's a purpose in that. And it takes one person to impact a person and make a decision to be the president.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be you. You know, it takes one person to make a decision. She's going to be the founder of the next technology to change Black women's hair. And because you shared your story, that could be you. And so I'm just a big believer. And I love what you said, you know, because what happens to us is not to us, it's for us. And I just know that for a fact. Every single day that God has us up and walking on this earth, we're here to be disciples, to show how God has impacted our lives in ways. And the only way that we can do that is we got to get up and get to work. So every day he's given us, yes, it might be hard on some days. This week, it felt like I was going through quicksand all week. But I had to still keep getting up to do the work so that I can be a testimony for the test that God has put me through. So that's all I wanted to add in.
Well. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it.
Yes.
I would say this. So a lot of people, y'all are watching and you just want all these things. You want the glory. But you see how they got to the glory? They've been through a story. You gotta have a story to get to that glory. It don't just have to be poof magic, because then your story is not really built like it needs to be built. Right. It's like building that house on the stand instead of building it brick by brick by brick. And all of them have told stories. Stories is what bring the glory, because you got to get some things. You got to go through some valley seasons. You got to go through some mountains. And so because you have the wisdom, because you've had the time, because you have the knowledge now, you seasoned, you spicy. And so because you have all of this going on, that's why you should tell your story. Mm-hmm. Because it matters. And it's going to help somebody. So to sit and think that, no, I ain't going to tell my story. It was just too embarrassing. And I've heard so many people say, well, and I've said it myself. Let me be honest. I don't want to tell the story right now. I got to wait till they dead.
No.
It's your truth. It's your truth. Can't nobody tell you that your truth is not your truth. And if you decided to be in my truth, that's your fault. I'm serious. Like, we gotta stop protecting. I'm sick of it. Let's stop protecting stuff that's causing these I agree. Traumas that get passed down through
breaking generational curses.
We don't want to talk about the stuff. No, you made a decision to be a part of my truth, and I'm telling it.
Right.
Yeah. I remember we had a book retreat several years ago, and Renette, when you were talking about that, you said it also, that I can't tell the story until they're dead. I remember there were several women at that author's retreat that we had that have great stories, but they're holding out on telling their story because the people that were part of the story, they're concerned about what they would think about them, you know, if they write about it while they're still alive. So yeah.
And if you want to protect the person, you can always change the character, mask it. Don't, if it was an uncle, it could have been a best friend.
Exactly.
Because somebody needs to hear it. Somebody must hear it.
Right. Because what if that person that they're trying to protect outlive them, and then their story never gets
right.
Oh my God.
Ooh, that's deep.
That's deep.
I like
and
that.
What is that person, like she said, the uncle, you know, the uncle that's doing the things and you're holding that in, but while you're holding that in, more people are being hurt, more people are being touched. And so we gotta tell the story.
Yeah.
And
is.
And
damn.
It's hard.
Listen, why the other day I was like, is there something that maybe I've suppressed? Because if it is, I need to figure out, because I'm telling. Like, no, seriously, because sometimes we will suppress certain things we've experienced. Because I'm like, why is it that maybe I am this way? I was like, I must be suppressed. I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. Because if I figure it out, but I get, and shout out to all, we got a lot of Book Prophets Club members that are here. I see all you guys, Sharon, Advancia, LaShawna, as well as Stevie. I love you guys. I think I said Karen. Yes, Karen. Y'all, you got to get there. I think most of them are ladies over 40 too. So Make sure you
Nice.
Nice,
Yes.
nice,
But
nice.
We
I don't
gotta
know.
be able to tell these stories
Yeah.
and just love. Thank y'all for joining this audience. If you got
Yes.
something from this, y'all put out some emojis. Let us see those emojis.
Yes.
Y'all welcome Book Prophets Club members. Y'all showed up and showing out. We appreciate you, our spicy squad. Thank you for
Hey.
coming
Thank
in.
you.
Aren't they fly, y'all, with their hats? I was like, I'm gonna wear my fedora, and I forgot I gave all away, y'all. I ain't got no-
You
I
still
think I know which
spicy.
one I was gonna wear.
You're still
Oh.
spicy. You're
I'm
spicy.
still spicy. Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So, Taurea, tell them what you have coming up.
So praise, and this is all praise be to God. I've got so many different things that are coming up. Every year we have our author all stars dinner that takes place in Atlanta. And man, I'm now partnering with some really big heavy hitters in the publishing space as well. So I'm excited to make that announcement at the dinner.
Beautiful.
Then we're going to Ghana. So can I I'm about to call some people out. So if y'all be getting these inbox messages of these people that say, "Hey, we want to invite you to come and speak in Paris, France," right? It's a lot of that going on right now on the Facebook. And so they messaging all these people and they're sending you this long message. So I got one of those messages a couple years ago to come to Canada. And so I was like, this is fly. I was like, well, can I also invite? Because that's how I am. Like if I get an opportunity, I never keep it to myself. It is said that you help enough people to get what they want, you will automatically get what you want. So I just
Yes.
live by that principle. And I said, can I invite some people? So it was 10 of us. We went to Canada and I was like, well, how much? Well, thank you. Yes, ain't they fly, y'all? So I was like, listen, how many people are going to be there to see us speak? And he told me 150 people. So I was like, oh, this is going to be good. So I'm telling all the BPC family, because it was our BPC members. I was like, y'all got to come. It's going to be 150 people there. Child, we
Mhm.
done got to Canada. It's 27 people. And guess who all the 27 people are? The speakers. 2 days of 27 speakers. It was long. And you talking about people that's from all over the world. So you have different type of, tonalities.
Yeah.
Whew, praise them. So I said, what we're not going to do is that again. And so I said, I want to create an international experience that I can do. I've been to Ghana before and I always kept saying I was going to go back. I had went like years ago to do a mission trip and I went back. I brought some people with me back and we did some donations, but I said, this is going to be a yearly thing. I just hadn't really figured out how I was going to do it. And so last year I decided we would do this trip in Ghana. We had about 27 people that came. We did a conference in Cape Coast. And so Cape Coast is not the capital. And most people come into Ghana, they go to Accra. Cape Coast is about a 3-hour drive. And we still were able to have about 100 people throughout the day come in to this event. We did it at the Cape Coast Castle, y'all. This is where the slave trade was done. We were in a room that, had this been during that time as a black woman, we would have been not necessarily hosting events, but we would have been on display because that was the room where they would shine us up and sell us to the slave
Wow.
masters.
Wow.
And so to think that we were now in this room as free people, black and white, men and
Amazing.
women from all over the world,
Mm.
and we were hosting this event. It was just powerful. So we're
Wow.
doing that again. We're not doing it at the Cape Coast, but we will go tour Cape Coast because we're going to go to a bigger space. But we're going to be going back to do this conference. We're going to be two events. So that's annual. Yeah, man, I'm looking to create. Something just spoke over here, but I'm looking to create international experiences as well as national experiences, creating the platforms and also collaborating. Like, I'm so sick of trying to do this by myself.
Mhm.
There's so many people in the book space, and the challenge that we have within our own communities is our inability to work together. What we
Ooh.
do is we'll see a person doing something and we say, and I even had a situation recently where somebody was like, well, the people that I'm referring, they don't see this, they don't see that. And I think I'm gonna just create my own. And I was like, well, why don't you get with the person and tell them, this is what I'm seeing that there is not available. Can you make that available? And let me stay focused over here. And I'm going to give you the feedback so that you can improve and we can still work together. But what we do is we say, forget about it. I'll just create my own. And I'm sick of it. You got other nationalities that will say, this is my strength. This is my strength. Let's put it together. By ourselves, I can impact 1,000, but together, two people together impacting 1,000 turns into 10,000.
Yes.
And I'm being more vocal on us learning to work together as a community. And I feel like you don't complain about a thing, you create a solution. And you have to be just like how we sweep a lot of stuff under the rug of what took place in our house. We got to stop sweeping stuff under the rug in our business houses too. We got to start being willing to confront and have conversations and not be offended as a people when somebody is coming in love to say, this is what I think we need to do.
Yes.
And so that's some of the stuff I'm working on. I'm really wanting to build some effective collaborations in this book space. I went to this event, y'all, for podcasters. And it was a lot of this and not this. They got people with the same software in the same building, all making millions together. Same kind of software, different companies making millions. We need to be doing stuff like that too.
Most
Absolutely.
definitely.
We're moving towards it.
Bandwagon, and no matter what, and like you all said, when people come to you and tell you, that means next. Exactly. That's in that negative space and place, and they're not trying to see the bigger picture, or they want to do it all themselves and not get with anybody. Like you said, one, you can get 1,000. Two can chase 10,000. Those are Bible principles. That's what we need to do. And that's how we grow. It's so hard for us as to do what we need to do and work together. We got to do so much better about that.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you said that. I'm so glad that we connected. Love to figure out what we can collaborate on a lot of things. So we just got to talk about that and get together. This is our first time. Not gonna be our last time because we got
and so we're gonna do it live on that topic we was talking about earlier.
Absolutely. I'm here for it, Taurea. You already know.
I'm here for it, Henty.
Y'all keep your ears burning because it's coming.
Yes.
This has been amazing, y'all. Thank you so much, Taurea, for just all your knowledge, wisdom, everything that you brought. You brought the house down today. You really did. And I already knew you would. Oh my God. I think I met you through Cheryl Wood back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was, I can't even remember. It was before that thing that we didn't want to talk about. Yeah. The first one. I think you were a speaker at that time, and that's how I met you. And you were yes. So I thank you so much, y'all. I know y'all enjoyed this. I know y'all enjoyed it. And y'all, we will be back here next week, same place, same time. Make sure that you all get with Taurea, and we will see y'all. I have my phone on silent. I promise I do.
Child, they was calling to let you know the show was fire.
That's it, right?
Yes.
Amen. I love it.
Thank y'all so much for being a part. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you again next week, same place, same time.
Can I give them my link real quick before we jump off?
Go.
Of course.
Okay. Yes. I got a free class, you guys. It teaches you the mistakes that authors make. And for those who want to get my books, you want my social media, all the details, go to my free class, howtospeakonmorestages.com. Because I'm teaching authors how to leverage their books to get on platforms. So go register. It's about a 15 to 30-minute class. I promise you it's going to blow you away and change the way you see yourself, even for those who are thinking about being an author. So howtospeakonmorestages.com.
All right. I have her books. They're good.
Thank you. Yay.
All
Have a
right,
great
y'all.
night.
Thank you.
Y'all
Thank
got
you.
it. Sign up for that class because y'all gonna miss it. Her classes are fire. And then, like y'all heard Latoya said, and I've been to several of her classes. I'm telling you, you will always get more than what you paid for, whether it's a
Absolutely.
class or a paid class, baby. She over delivers. Okay.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taurea.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right.